Hey there, my name is Lisa Appia. I'm a certified career and resume strategist and the founder of We Apply. In this video, we're talking about interviews, a lot of people's favorite topic, interviews. I'm going to be sharing some tips to help you for your next interview, how to prepare for it effectively, and how to ace the interview, obviously. So let's get right into it. So first thing, you definitely want to research the company. You would have already done your research on the company when you applied for the role, because in developing your resume, you created a tailored resume, and you would have done your research on the organization. So you already have an idea of who they are, but you definitely now want to go in depth to learn more about the organization, what they do, the services they provide, what products they provide, as well as getting a sense of if they have been in the news recently, what has been said about them. So in terms of researching companies, I do have a video that goes really in depth on that topic, so I'm sharing the link right above for that one. But in addition to researching the company, you also want to research your interviewer. Often they will tell you who is interviewing you. Maybe they will tell you it's a panel interview. As much information as you can get on who's going to be interviewing you, this will be helpful, because at the end of the day, people hire people. So you want to be able to make a connection with the person who's interviewing you. LinkedIn is a great place that can help you to do that research, to get to know more on that person. But a simple Google search as well will be effective to see what's out there about that individual and to learn more about them. Next thing is, you definitely want to go back to that job description and read it again to see if there's any insight, any information that you can get about the role ahead of the interview. Sometimes something that does happen when you sent an application a while ago is that the link may be broken. So you want to make sure whenever you're applying for roles that you're saving the job description, whether you want to copy and paste it or take a screenshot, whatever works for you. But to avoid any challenges of you being able to find that job poster, you want to save it when you are applying for the role. And then when you're going through it to prepare for the interview, look at what were the key requirements that they were asking for in terms of skills, in terms of education, in terms of experience. Often they're going to craft their questions around that because they want to get more insight of the experience that you have in those areas. Next, you definitely want to practice your answers. Practice as much as possible. Do mock interviews with a career coach or with a friend, with a colleague, somebody who can help you to prepare for the interview, and someone who's going to give you honest feedback on how your answers sound. When it comes to interviews, there are different types of interview questions that they may ask you. So a behavioral interview question, which is one of the more common ones, are like, tell us about a time you did this, or tell us about a situation you did that. Those are interview questions where you often will use the STAR method or the Carl method to answer those questions. So STAR is situation, task, action, result, and then Carl is challenge, action, result, lesson, or learning. Very similar models, but basically what it is that you are being asked about a situation, or you're being asked about a time you did something, maybe a time you had to juggle two priorities. So you're going to provide the situation, provide the context, and then you're now going to talk about the actions that you took. Be specific, provide an example. What were the steps that you specifically took to be able to achieve whatever you were doing at that time when you were balancing the two priorities? And then the next thing is, what was the result? So what was the outcome of what you did? And if there were any lessons that you learned, any learning, what impact did it make for the organization, then that's where you want to get into that. What I've seen a lot of times is that people forget to talk about the results and the impact, and honestly that is what really makes a difference, because you can tell a whole story, but if the story doesn't have an ending, then you told the whole story for nothing, really, because the person's going to be like, okay, you left me hanging here, you didn't tell me what was the end, what was achieved. So always remember to state the result. So that's for behavioral interview questions. There are other types of interview questions as well. Situational interview questions, those are sometimes more like, if you were in this situation, or case study interview interview questions. They may give you a case or a situation, and now they're telling you, if you're in this situation, how would you deal with it? So very similar to behavioral interview questions, but these ones are more like hypothetical. So to answer those questions, you would use the same model in terms of STAR or CARL, and you would really detail an example of, this is your thought process. If I was in this situation, this is how I would deal with it. And if you've been in that situation in the past, providing a real life example to support your response is always very effective. The next type of interview question type that you may come across is a knowledge interview question, and that's basically your industry knowledge. They may be asking you specifically about how this program functions, or they may be asking you, how would you run this marketing ad, or how would you do this product placement. So this is really to understand your knowledge of the industry specifically, and how you would use the tools, use your experience to deal with a specific situation. So those are some of the most common types of interview questions that you may come across in an interview. So when working with someone or doing mock interviews, or deciding to, maybe you don't have anyone to practice with, just pull out your phone and record yourself responding to the questions. And basically you will want to practice the different types of interview questions, from behavioral to situational to knowledge questions. Prepare some interview questions in each category, so you're not only practicing that question specifically, but you're practicing that strategy, so that whether they ask you a different type of behavioral interview question or a different type of situational interview question, because you've practiced the strategy behind the question, you can still respond to the question. The next tip I have for you is dress to impress. Obviously, it is an interview, so you do want to dress professionally and you want to look appropriate. I've always heard a saying, dress the way you want to be addressed. You know your industry, you know what are the standards in your industry. There are some industries that are very laid back in terms of the way that they present themselves, and then there are other industries that you know that if you're going to an interview, you need to be suited up, right? So you know your industry and you know what is appropriate, so have that in mind. But at the end of the day, you always want to dress professionally when you're going to an interview, whether it is in person or online. The standard for the interview does not change because it is a virtual interview, so always keep that in mind. The last piece of advice is be positive and be confident. Smile, always smile in your interview, as well as show up as confident as possible. Whatever you need to do to get that boost in confidence, whether for you it's listening to a certain kind of music that's going to get you hyped up before the interview, or just doing some power moves, or just stretching, or whatever it is, you need to jump. Whatever will get you in that zone where you are completely focused and completely confident when you're coming into that interview, do that. And that will help you to show up as confident as possible. I hope these tips have helped you and you feel well prepared for your next interview. I have another video where I'm sharing tips on how to show up confidently in interviews, and I'm sharing the link right here, and you can go straight into that video. If you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, I post videos every Thursday. I talk about career, leadership, and LinkedIn, so you can subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on our most recent content. On that note, take care. Bye.